will be on. Recording is on. Shalom and good day, everyone. We are glad that you are able to join us through for this calendar lesson that we shall be going over for today. We shall be looking at the smaller illuminary known as the moon. She is the lesser light when you read about her in Genesis chapter 1, as well as through the prophets. We first want to give honors to our Father in heaven, who is Yahuwah, for he is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We also give honors to his son, Yahusha HaMashiach, for he is the second Adam. He is the Son of God, the Messiah, the Anointed One. He is the left, known as the door of the sheep. And he is the iron, which is the light/eye of the body and the fountain of the living waters. We also have a mother. And even the Messiah said that our mother shall be justified by her children, and our mother is wisdom. For she is the glory of Yah, the beauty of holiness, and the 7 eyes and 7 spirits of Yahuwah. And only the Messiah had possessed all of her. And you'll read about her throughout the whole volume, from the old covenant to the new covenant, which is from the old marriage to the new marriage, as well as the prophets talks about her as well. Even King David and King Solomon. We also bid a shalom to the bride of the Messiah, to the 144,000, and to First Enoch chapter 73. And we're going to pick up where we left off. We do apologize for any technical difficulties we had, and hopefully we can get through it this time. As you see, we're going to take our time to go through this chapter, because as you see, if we don't take our time to go through each and every verse, you're going to miss something. And what the Father is showing me, that a lot of people are seeking to learn his calendar, but along the way there's some confusion, and there's some misinformation. And what the Father has confirmed unto me, if you want to eliminate the confusion and you want to get the truth, he had given the answer through his prophets. And one of the prophets, we heavily look at is Enoch. So when you check the video description box, Enoch's writings are listed in the first, second, and third book. We also look at the other prophets such as Moshe, Isaiah, Ezekiel, etc. So what the Father is saying unto us, stop running to the other books first. Come unto his prophets. They are his mouthpiece. It was given directly unto them, and you will not go wrong. And this is how we are able to stand before our Father. Do you want to put your trust and faith in another book? I don't think so. So for me, I rather stand by his prophets. Now, when it comes to the other books, I'm not against the other books as long as it's in agreement to what the prophets wrote. But as being the children of the light, we should first seek out his books, his prophets, then go to the other books. Okay. But I see that that's not a priority among most of our people, among the Israelites and Gentiles. I think we're kind of like reinventing the wheel. We're going, in other words, we're working too hard, but our Father had made it simple for us. Okay, so what are we going to do first? We're going to face the east, and we're going to pray unto our Father. If you are new and you don't know where east is, how to find east, in the first beginning of his day, you would see the light rising in the heaven, giving you an idea where eastward is, or where the east position is. Then the second light is the rising of the sun. And the rising of the sun will be somewhere in the eastward position. Now remember, there's only 2 times in the year when the sun will rise directly on the east point, okay? But for the other times in between that, it will rise in the eastward position, so you know where to face east. So let us do that. For my brothers, I ask that you uncover your heads And for my sisters, I ask that you cover your head. Again, remember the physical going hand with the spiritual. It is a reason why our Father asks us to perform these signs or these commandments or instructions, because when you understand why heaven and earth is connected, do you understand that the physical or the carnal is connected to the spiritual? They go hand in hand. These are mysteries, and as you spend time with the Father under His Ruach, which the Ruach will teach you, you begin to understand why we keep these things. So let us face the east now. Abba Yah, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, thine is the power, and thine is the glory forever. Father, we come before you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach to pray for our brothers and sisters. Continue to answer our prayers. But Father, we pray that they will begin to understand your calendar and understand this, that the calendar is made up of 3 lights, not 1 light, but 3 lights. And you have given your prophets to show that unto your people. But your people are lacking understanding, and we know all things come by the Spirit. So we pray that your people will receive your Spirit so their understanding can be opened. And Father, if anything that we have not prayed in this prayer, we ask that you do it according to your will, and continue to remember those who are homeless, who are sick, or who just are in need. Remember those. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it. Okay, so what y'all see before you is a picture. I did share on the channel that I would go on a little bit more details about this new moon sighting that we have. And according to Torah, we must have 2 or 3 witnesses. Okay, just like the Father bear witness to the Son, and the Son bear witness to the Father, and the Ruach bear witness to the both of them. Okay, so Torah is an example of the Godhead. So because we live in a time of technology and things are modernized, meaning that man is no longer dependent on what was set on in Torah. In other words, they don't really look at the heavens like they're supposed to. Because when you read Genesis chapter 1, you will learn that the Father made these lights to teach us about time and how to keep time. But because we in this 4th beast kingdom, which is under the rule of Rome, under the nation / tribe, Esau / Edom, okay, because we're under that, we are spoiled. We are assimilated. So, we don't understand that we really should be looking at the heavens instead of being dependent on this technology and stuff. However, it is what it is. So the Father helped me to find a photo, because I've been noticing online, when people was reporting their new moon sightings, the site was sharing that information as those who were seeing the new moon on July 10th. Okay, I want to make that clear. On July 10th. However, okay, let me get rid of this little bar. However, as the reports was coming in on July 11th, because the majority was not able to see it on July 10th, a lot of people are going with July 11th. So I'm so thankful that the Father led me to a site that had a photo, because I know some people just won't take the word of an individual. They were like, I gotta have a photo to confirm. So here is a photo, and this was taken by Organic Light Photography under the name of Joseph Ismail. Okay, and I'm not going to say that calendar month, but they give you a date and time step according to their calendar. And it was sighted on July the 10th in the year of 2021 AD after sunset. And the location to find this particular moon, where they was at, it was in 37.1329 degrees north, then 121.9995. I hope I said 3 nines, y'all. Degrees west at 1591 feet above sea level. And this was taken in Santa Cruz Mountains, California. And I do see some improvements on Renew Moon site. You know, they will share photos. But when I click on the link of those who saw the new moon on July 10th, unfortunately, you know, I couldn't get any photos. However, I did see that they at least have 2 to 3 witnesses who cited this. Okay, well, all praises to y'all. But what I want to point out to you, notice the amount of illumination that was captured in this picture compared to those who saw the new moon on July 11th. So let's us go to the sighting thing, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. Okay. When you compare photos to photos, now I know it's kind of hard to see in this picture here, but let me see, can I blow it up? Now, when I saw it, I wasn't able to see it on July the 10th because a lot of people was having problems of seeing the heavens because of the clouds or because of the forecast. But if you compare the amount of illumination that I captured in this picture compared to that other picture, you would see that the moon in this picture that I have on July the 11th is a lot more wider. In other words, it was about 3 to 4% in that range. But when you look at this picture here, it's really like one, like somewhere between 1 to 2% illuminated. Okay, let me get you another picture. See how, brother, how sure a picture is? So you can really see that's about like 3 to 4% illumination. And the same thing with your L's picture. You can see it's a little more wider in their pictures. Now, keep in mind, and Enoch talks about the phases of the moon and gives you more inner details about the moon. And what you will learn that the moon will speed up or slow down. I have seen her do that. And when you learn about that phase, when she goes in a phase where she has no light upon her, according to man, it can take around 12 to 15 hours before you can see the new moon crescent. Okay, do y'all hear me now? I want you to write this down in your notes. When the moon is in the phase of her having no light upon her, it can take somewhere between 12 to 15 hours before you can see the new moon crescent in the heavens in the west. Because remember, she is falling with the sun. So until the sun go down, this is when you'll be able to see her. Because remember, the sun is the greater light. It means that she is what we learned last time. He's 7 times brighter than her. So when he goes down, then you're able to see the moon, which is a she. Okay. So by knowing this information and knowing that the moon can speed up or slow down, from month to month, you may have a variation on how bright she is on that first day, meaning that maybe some months you would have her being 1%, like 1 to 2%. Other days it could be somewhere between 3 to 4%. It can vary depending on how fast she is moving. Like I said, this moon do some different things. Okay. All right. So let me get this back down to normal size. So that is another confirmation to you besides the calculations that I do. Again, these calculations that I do is based upon what Enoch tell us about the moon and knowing what day that these certain phases should occur on. And this is how I know if she's operating correctly or if she's manifesting something unto us, because we're in the days of sinners. Remember the prophecy that deals with the moon too. Okay. And Enoch is one of those heavyweight prophets. You definitely want to read his writings to understand what she's doing now in this day and time. All right. So I already talked about my calculation in another video that is on the channel. You can look at the fourth new moon report, and you can look at the video that just came out this morning dealing with the update on that information. And every now and then come back to this moon sighting page, because as if I find other information or things that would be a great benefit unto you to have for your records, for those who keep records like me, I will come back and add it to this. Okay. All right. So now that we got that out the way, which brings us to this, you got to know what is the date. Okay. Now, we all are familiar with the heathen's day, okay, because we've been among the heathens, we've been taught by the heathen's way, but it's not of the Most High way. So, as the Messiah had prophesied unto us or instruct us, he says that we would know the season that we are in, and that is true. Because when you begin to learn the Father ways and about his calendar, you would know what time you are in. All right. So let me go ahead and give you the year. But first, let me give you the heathen's date and time. So you can understand the difference between the heathen's calendar versus the Most High calendar. So today we in the day they call Saturn's day. That is the day of that is the day of Saturn. That is the day they are worshiping Satan. But unfortunately, mankind don't know that, for they have been greatly deceived. All right. So their day is July the 17th in the year of 2021 AD, and the time is we're in the noon time according to the heathens time, but actually we're in the 11 o'clock hour for those who don't honor the daylight savings. Okay. Far as the Most High date and time, we are in the 6th day of his week. So this is the preparation day. We are expecting the Sabbath to come in at sundown today. Okay. And this fall on the 7th day of the moon. Far as the biblical event, this is Moshe 18th night and 19th daylight upon Mount Sinai. These biblical events are very important to look at because they do tie into the holy days and feast days. They also tie into some of the flood events. I mean, a lot is going on from month to month, y'all. And it's a lot of messages and mystery revealed. And if you don't look at these biblical events, you're going to miss the mark. Okay. Far as the count of to Pentecost, we in the 28th day of the 50-day count. Far as the phase of the moon, as you see, the moon should be increasing in light, so she should be about 50%. And this phase occurred on July the 17th in the year of 2021 AD at 1:10 p.m. in Israel Daylight Savings Time. Okay, make sure y'all know about these times. Okay, we're in different time zones throughout the world. Far as the date of the sun is in its 4th month and 26th day, and this day of the moon, the 7th day of the moon, will fall on the heathen's date from July the 16th to July the 17th from sundown to sundown. Far as the year, we are in the 8th day from Adam. It's very important to know that, y'all, because we got a 7-day prophecy. Again, according to the Father will and time, I will go back over that again. Okay. We are in the 8th week of Enoch's 10-week prophecy. Far as creation, from the time of creation, we are in the 13th day of creation. These dates are very important now. So I'm giving you the Adamic year. The Adamic year, we are in the 8th day. We are in the 8th day. And we are in the 8th week of Enoch's 10-week prophecy, which is the 13th day of creation. Okay? Very important to know. All right, now that we have that out the way, let's close that out. I'm going to close this out. Well, let me read this. Some other errors that cited the new moon on July the 10th, when you go to this website here, y'all, called crescentwatch.org, they also cited in North America, including San Diego, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, and Chiapas, Mexico. Okay, so that's your proof. And this post was posted on July the 10th in the year of 2021 AD at 23 and 53 minutes MDT. So it was at 11:53. Okay, so I'm gonna close this out. I do want to bring this out too. When we was talking about renewmoon.com, there was a moon sighting photo that was sharing their site, and they had put the subtitle on that photo called Hebrew in Israel. So I did get confirmation that it was dealing with this gentleman's channel. For his name is Joel. Okay, he was the one who took that picture of that moon in Israel. That fell on day 2, actually. Okay, so it came from him. So this is why you see on Renew Moon, they just put the subtitle Hebrew in Israel, because it comes from his Facebook channel. That's his Facebook channel name. I didn't know why they did not put his name. His name is Yoel High Levy. Okay, but it's good to know and get the clarification on that. All right, so I'm gonna close this out. So last time when we came together, we was talking about First Enoch chapter 73, and we was on verse 3. So I'm gonna bring that book open first. I'm gonna reread verse 3 unto you. Okay, and let me bring Enoch's book back open. Let me blow it up. Okay, reader 1, I'm going to have you to read this entire verse for me.
Okay. And her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun. And when her light is uniformly completely full, it amounts to the 7 parts of the light of the sun.
Okay, thank you, reader 1. Let's go back to the notes. So there was a lot of key things that was being said in this verse. We even had some math involved. So watch part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now I'm going to some characteristics, because if you notice, you need to ask yourself, why is the moon and the sun shaped in a circle? Why did the Father choose that? Because I'm telling y'all, when he chooses certain things, we really need to like pick his mind and say, Father, why you choose that? What that mean? What is that telling unto us? Okay. So when we came together last time, it had led us to that we was talking about how bright the sun is compared to the sun. So we know the sun is 7 times brighter than the moon. Now, as far as how bright the moon is 1/7 bright compared to the sun, because she only take a part of his light. Oh, y'all, do y'all see that? Going back to the foundation. Also, my brothers and sisters were sharing me that what else the moon does. We was talking about that, dealing with why she's the lesser light. If one of y'all can share with the family, what do y'all say about the moon? We was looking at Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. We was talking about why she's the lesser light to rule the night. What was the characteristic y'all brought up about her? Look on your screen.
The moon declared the times, and such as like Sabbaths to rest.
And what do y'all say about the moon, by her being the lesser light at night in relation to rest?
It's just like Sabbath, like where we supposed to rest on his Sabbath day, we supposed to rest, just like the moon.
Okay. So what she's saying unto us, y'all, when you think about it, you need to ask yourself, why did the Father in heaven make her to be the lesser light at night when she's ruling? You know, because at night she's the brighter light. Okay. And the reason is, can you sleep in the sun's light? No, it's not easy on our eyes. It's too bright. But you can sleep with the moonlight. It's a lot gentler, making it easier for us to rest. Because one thing that see, I work in healthcare, so one thing I learned, or one thing that my fellow worker was sharing with me, that when you constantly put your body in a state of being sensitized, such as the light will sensitize you, telling you it's time to get up, it's time to get moving. You're stimulated, and when you're stimulated, that you can't go in a shutdown mode, or you can't go in a rest mode. But with a gentle light, because even at night in your house, we all have a little night light, so it won't be too dark in our house. We can sleep with that kind of light. So you begin to see or understand the Father mindset, and that was very interesting. So getting back to the sun being 7 times brighter than the moon, and if you notice that the moon only take one part of his light in her, that's a mystery in that, y'all. That's a message, and it goes back to how he made Adam to be. Most people don't understand and don't realize the Father took a part of himself and put it in man. And when you study the characteristics or the makeup of Adam, you will learn that he's made of what? Body, which comes from the earth. Soul, which came from his breath. Okay. And which you also know, another word for that is spirit of life. All right. And the third part, the Father implanted his spirit in man, in the midst of his body, which is the bowels, the belly. And this is why Paul would say, refresh my bowels. He won't talk about your gut or your intestines. He was talking about the spirit that the Father placed in him to refresh it, to revive it. So now we see a physical example displayed in the heavens, how she, the moon, takes her light from the sun. So it's like the sun imparting his light in her. And this is how they are connected, the he and the she, which remind you what? Of Genesis 2. For man shall what? Leave his parents and cleave to his wife, and they shall be what? No longer two, but one. Mysteries. All right. But when we go a little more deep about this number 7, because 7 unto the Father is a sanctified number. It is a number that represents rest, and it's a number that represents perfection. Okay. And when you think about 7, 7 is equal to Adam, meaning that Adam is completed. Okay, he is completed. He is whole, and because he is whole, he can enter into Yah's rest. So that's why I put here 7 is Adam completion in Yah's rest. It's a mystery on that. And one of my sisters and I are gonna come together because she revealed a mystery that was revealed in the book of Jubilees that took place between Adam and Eve before they entered into the garden. And it's the kind of the same example what took place in Israel. Oh yeah. And you're going to see it again. That's going to be displayed among the bride in the 144. Like King Solomon said unto us, it's nothing new underneath the sun. So now when we meditate about the shape of the moon as well as the shape of the sun, it would lead you into looking at the completion of Adam. The completion of Adam. So when we get to the components of Adam, these are the key words I want to bring out to y'all. To be whole, to be one. Now I'm gonna give y'all some math here, but this math here ain't gonna make no sense when we start looking at numbers. Number one equals 1, 2, and 3. By saying, oh, wait a minute, what you mean? We'll talk about that. Another component, to be brighter, to illuminate, to shine. Okay, these are all important components. Then to be perfected. All right, and this is when we get into geometry, the study of shapes, and this is going to lead us back to the circle. Now we can see why in the heavens it goes in a circuit or a circle or go around the earth. Now we see why the first firmament, which is the first heaven, why it's in form of a circle around the earth. Now we see why we have the sun and the moon to be what? Circles, because it's telling us something deep here, because the circle represent what? Completion. Completion. All right. And then I want to throw this out here for you to meditate on. So what is in the midst of the circle? I'll give you this hint. He is all, and all is in him. Okay. We understand the mystery of Adam and looking at the makeup of Adam, you understand the circle in the middle of the wheel. That was a song that we sang in church about that. Okay. So we get to this part about the heavens. That's that picture. Then the next component is that it is good. It is good. Okay. So we'll look at that component as well. All right. So that's all in verse 3. So let's go back to the top. So what we was talking about the second Adam, which is Yahusha HaMashiach. And when we look at the verse, Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 10, we learn the attributes of Adam that many are not aware of. And one of the attributes is he is white and ruddy. Now, this is English. We have to go back to the foundation because we learned through the prophets such as Moshe. He had wrote unto us that the Hebrew is the tongue of creation. It is a holy language unto Yah. Okay. This is why we have the Hebrew letters written in Psalms 119. All right. So when we look at white and ruddy, which is the attribute of the second Adam, and we know the second Adam is Yahusha HaMashiach, okay, because he's made like unto the first, but he was different from the first. See, the first failed, but the second came to uplift, to restore, to redeem. All right. So we had the Adam from heaven coming to the Adam of the earth to save him from the fall. All right. Okay. Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay. Because remember, he set the example what's going to happen to the bride and to the 144. Go back and look at it. It's manifest throughout the whole Bible, even through our forefathers such as Noah, Moshe, and the Messiah. It's there. Okay. And Adam, too, our forefather Adam. It was seen in him as well. So when we go back to the Hebrew, you will learn that white means to illuminate, to shine, to be bright. And ruddy means to be red or reddish brown. Okay, because we learn from the events of the flood that the Father made Adam out of a pure virgin clay, and that pure virgin clay was red, y'all. Even when we go to the Gentiles resources, like when you look up red hair, and I want to go directly to the site there. Like I said, it's a lot of good juicy information. Okay, because one of our how could I say this? The son of Isaac had red hair. He had red hair, y'all. And you can see evidence of that throughout the earth where he been. When you read Matthew chapter 5, verse 36, and the book of Leviticus 13, you will learn that Israelites have black hair or white hair. And today, you know, in this tone we speak, they would say that the white hair is gray. But for my uncle, who is Esau or Edom, he has red hair. That's where red hair comes from. He was the progenitor of that. All right. So when we go to this section under religious and mythological traditions, even the Gentile states unto us that the Hebrew word usually translated ruddy or reddish brown to anmoni, which is from the root word Adam, and it's referring us to also to see Adam and Edom and Edom, okay? Because when he came out, he was hairy, and the hairs on his body was red, okay? And then it goes on to say it was used to describe both Esau and David. Now, for those who have the 1611, it's also used to describe Esther in the Apocrypha as well as in the Old Testament, because when you study about our complexion of the melanated people, we have certain skin tones that you can see manifested through our skin, and one of them is red. Some of us have a red hue to us. And then when you study the mystery of melanin, because you learn melanin gives that's what gives us color, okay? And you will learn that it's in everything. It's in heavens that man today calls the space. It's in the water. That's how you get the different rainbow colors. And then it's in everything. And what I learned, what the Father was teaching me, that this is how one is able to illuminate or to shine because of the melanin. Yeah, like I said, mysteries. All right, now that we got that part out the way, so when we look at the components of Adam, it's saying a lot here. So let us keep going. So to be Adamic means that you are whole. You are one with what? The Father, the Son, and the Ruach, which is wisdom. Okay. Now I want to clarify this. I know the Comforter is a He, and the Comforter is the Spirit of Yahusha HaMashiach, because you have to receive the Son of God first before they can abide in you. John 14, 15, and 16. All right, now that I got that out of the way, so there won't be no confusion. All right. So to be whole, to be one, needs to be Adamic. And I'm talking about before the fall. This is when Adama was perfected, okay, sinless. All right. So Adamic is one with them. One with them. And that's dealing with the Godhead or the Elohim head. Okay. So now we're gonna look at some math. How did I get number one? Well, how I got number one, y'all, you're gonna have to look at part one, and part one, part two, and maybe part three. When we start dealing with comparing the light of the moon to the light of the sun, you will learn in fractions in the world of math that 1/1 represent the whole number one. So that's how I got one. Watch the other parts to get that interpretation. I want to keep this simple. Okay. So Adamic is one with them, the Father, the Son, and the Ruach. Okay. So when we translate the number one to a word, it means what? To be whole. So that's what one represents. And we have some examples in the body, in the Bible, to give an example of one. For example, we know our Father is what? He likes to be number one. This is why we have the new moon days. For the first day in the month represent us of worshiping him, because he likes to be first in our life, in all things. And he tells us that his name is jealous. Oh, yes, he wants nothing before him. So this explains why we have the new moon day. It also represents what? The elect. In the Greek tongue, they say after. He is the what? But he is the first, and he is the beginning. All right. Then when we look at number 2, as you see that I have wrote here, 2 should remind you of 1 when we read Genesis chapter 2. Okay. And I will ask my family, what do y'all think I'm hitting to in Genesis chapter 2? What do y'all think I'm hitting to? In Genesis chapter 2.
When it can you repeat the question so I can make sure I got it understand it right?
I tell you what, I'm gonna pull the verse up and let y'all read it.
Okay.
In the notes, if I'm saying 2 equals 1, how is that possible? Because we know what we've been taught in math, 2 don't equal 1. But in the biblical sense, how is that possible?
Are you
So
referencing
in
when it comes
Genesis
to
2, my
days?
reader 2, nope, to my reader 2,
Okay.
I want you to read verse 21 down to 25.
And Adam, Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took on closed up the flesh instead thereof, and the rib which Yahuwah God had taken from man, made he a woman and brought her in. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cling unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
Okay, thank you, reader 2. So this verse is saying a lot too. And we see the heaven manifested. So not only did he have the moon to take her light from the sun, which is he, look what he did unto Adam. He took the she out of Adam. Do y'all see that? Just as the moon get her light from the sun, the woman of Adam come out of him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Adam said, what? Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, because she came out of me.
Yep.
See, you see a lot of relationship here. Why? Because everything began with the Elohim head. We can see them being manifested through their creations. But going back to the number, how 1 equals 2 can be found in this verse here, verse 24. It says that therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother. See, he's going to leave his parents And then and then from that point, he's going to cleave unto his wife. And it said that they shall be one flesh. So how can two bodies of people become one flesh?
Because it came out of
What do
one.
y'all think what makes them one?
When the father took the rib, her, out of him,
Their image of him.
and so when they join together, they be one with the Father.
That's the physical part. Okay. She was made from him. She's the same flesh, the same blood, right?
Yes.
But it's something deeper here. Go back to the Godhead. Are they not one?
Oh yeah, they one with the Father and the Spirit.
Right?
Yes.
And how they one?
Because he made them in his image and breath in him.
That's the physical part. But how they one? How they the same?
Because they work together as one.
But how how they work together as one?
They have the same spirit in them.
That
Same spirit.
something is the common denominator.
The Father.
What was that?
The Spirit that's in them. The Father that's in them. The Spirit that He put in
The
them.
spirit that is in them. The spirit that is in them. This is why the Father instructs us not to commit fornication. There's a spiritual exchangement taking place between a man and his wife. Which brings me to this. Father reminded me of this now. Remember what the book of Ephesians says. We get into some biblical science now. Biblical science. We know the word came from the Father, and we know the Holy Spirit came from the Father. Just like woman come from man. We see the same thing being paid out. But it's something that unites them to make the one, where they have what? The same mindset, where they can what? Work together, cohabitate together, work as a unit, just like the ants. It has to be something to unite them, and what unites them is his spirit. That's what connects us. And this is why when a man, this is why for the male and the female, this is why we shouldn't fornicate, because there's a spiritual exchangement taking place that's going to join you to them. Okay, so let me go to the book of Ephesians, because that's a good verse to add to this. So can I find it? And those who are into the sci-fi movies, you're going to understand this well, because it's in Ephesians chapter 4. Because if you like me, I used to watch Star Trek. My favorite one was The Next Generation, and they had an episode dealing with, I think it was called the Borg, and as this was this machine object that was in the shape of a square box. And what it would do, it would conquer all sorts of tribes and nations, right? And they would take their captives and make them to be one with them, turn them into a cyberboard. And they will all be interlinked, just like how the internet is interlinked with all these computers and stuff. But to understand the biblical aspect of how we're connected, we are connected by spirit. Now we begin to understand and see the instructions on why our Father tell us not to do certain things or why we keep certain things. And one of the things is fornication. Fornication. Okay? Because now we see that physically, when a man has sexual relationship with a woman, there is a spiritual exchangement taking place, because there is a relationship between the physical and the spiritual. They are tied together, just like there is a relationship between the heavens and the earth. Everything is connected. And when you begin to study about sickness, you can do a word search this in the Bible. There is a spirit for everything. There's a spirit of depression. There's a spirit of infirmity. So we're dealing with spirits. Okay. So let us read Ephesians chapter 4, and we're gonna start with verse 3. Read it down to verse 6, and make sure. I'm going to go ahead and read the chapter summary, and then to my reader 3, I have you to read that. He exhorted to unity and declareth that Yahuwah therefore giveth diverse gifts unto men, Adam, that his bride might be edified and grown up in the Messiah. He calleth them from the impurity of the Gentiles to put on the new man, to put on the new Adam, to cast of lying and corrupt communication. Reader 3, I need for you to read verse 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. In devouring to keep the unity of the spirits in the bond of peace. There is one body and one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one Yah and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all.
Okay, do y'all see that? This is the key verse right here. What I be saying, he is all, and all is in him. For all comes from him. All was created by him. He is above his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. Again, until the Roman Christians' doctrines, they've been teaching y'all wrong. Having you thinking that they are one being. No, no, no. They are three separate spiritual beings, but they are connected because they all come from him. Mysteries. So we have one Father in heaven, which is what? Yahuwah. All right. We have one Son, which is what? Yahushua HaMashiach. And we have one Mother, who is the Spirit, who is the breath. That is the Spirit of wisdom. Okay. So right here, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. Now you begin to see what we lost and why we are not connected to them, and why we are having a hard time understanding things like his calendar, his heavens, his earth, his scriptures. Because what joined us to them is his spirit. Like in verse 4, it says, there is one body and there's only one spirit, y'all. Even as ye are called in one hope of your calling. That is what we're lacking. And the only way to receive that, you have to receive the renewed marriage, which is the new covenant. And once you receive that and he abide in you, which is Yahusha HaMashiach, then they can come and abide in you as well. Because the Father made this rule. You can't come to him. You have to first go through his Son. His Son made a great sacrifice for you to redeem you and to restore you back unto the Father. Okay, so now we understand how 2 can equal 1. Now, I had already went over how 1 equal 3 by looking at the Father, the Son, and the Ruach. I already went over that. Now we understand when we reverse this, how 3 can equal 1. This is why when you read Lumpkin translation of the Book of Jubilees in chapter 32, verse 3, you're not going to see it in Charles. But Lumpkin go on to expound that when you look at the son of Levi, who was given the priesthood, and he was the 3rd son of Jacob, you will learn that the number 3 means it is the number of spiritual completion. Completion. Taking us back to what that geometrical shape, a circle, completion. Okay, which is going to tie into being what? Adamic. How you completed, because you are of the body, come from the earth. Then you are a living soul, which come from his breath, the spirit of life. Even the same breath was in the ark with Noah in them. Go back and read the 1611 version. I'm telling y'all, that 1611 version has the mysteries, it has messages, it has the codes. Then you are what? The 3rd part of Adam, his spirit. He put a part of himself in you, just as woman come out of man, so she's a part of him, just as the moonlight is a part of the sun. Do y'all see this? Everything's getting connected here. So the number 3 means the number of spiritual completion. And now we see why the priesthood fell upon Levi, because he was the 3rd son of Jacob. Like I said, I found to speak through many things, numbers and all that. So the she is a part. I'm going to emphasize this word, a part of the he. Just like we, Adam, is a part of them. And that's the Elohim here. Or Adam is a part. So we read it in verse Ephesians chapter 4. I'll put my reference. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3 through 6. All right. So to be Adamic, you have to be whole. And how you whole? Because you are a part of them, or you are a part of Yahuwah. Because all come from him, and he is all. The next attribute to be Adamic, to be brighter, to illuminate, to shine. Even what? The moon and the stars and the sun, they all have light, symbolizing unto us. Let me write this down. Sun, moon, and stars. Light symbolize unto us. We too will bear their light. Y'all see that? What's done in heaven is also done in earth. Next attribute is to be perfected. And a lot of people don't really understand what that truly means. So we need to go back to the Bible to look at that. So I'm going to pull up my word search here to really understand what it means to perfect it before Yah. Now, most of us are familiar with the analogy how he's going to put us through the fire and we're going to come out like silver and gold, meaning that all the impurities that is in our hearts shall be removed. Y'all hear that? Perfection. Perfection is Adamic, meaning that all the impurities in our heart shall be removed. It's more than just sins and transgressions, y'all. It's that's in our heart. Remember what the Messiah said. It's not what a man eats that defile body, it's what come out of his mouth, which comes from the heart. It's his thoughts and his intentions. Deep. Hebrews 4, chapter 4. Thoughts and intentions. So those who are partaking in his holy days and holy feast days, even your thoughts got to be right, because even the Messiah gave us an example of that. Okay, an example of that was that if a man even think about committing adultery, he already had done it, because it always sin or transgression starts with a thought. You have to think about it, and the more you think about it, then that thing will come into its manifestation, because you're going to want to act on that thought or that impure intentions. Okay, Hebrews chapter 4 and Matthew. I'm gonna put the keyword. Keyword is adultery. Adultery in your heart. Okay, so some of these verses we're gonna look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 48, to understand what is perfection according to the Father's definitions. But it's a ton of verses in here, y'all. Y'all can read. And I highly recommend that you do that, because this world gonna give you the wrong definition. What does it mean to be perfected in the sight of our Father's eyes? Okay, Matthew chapter 5. I went past it. Right? Here we go. Be ye therefore perfected, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfected. Again, we made in his image, so we should do as our Father do, right? How do we do that? Through the commandments and instructions he gave unto our forefathers, starting from Adam and all the way down. Okay? That's one way. Here's another one. Matthew chapter 19, verse 21. Yahusha said to him, if thou would be perfected, if thou would be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, that thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. Why do y'all think that the Messiah would order that young man who had kept the commandments from the days of his youth, like the 10 commandments with the 2 greatest commandments, right? Why do you think the Messiah would give him this additional instruction to do? Talk to my family now. Why y'all think that? What, by selling all of your possession and giving unto the poor, what would that do unto a person, y'all?
Humble them. So
Another hint, think about Job.
Like humble them.
Humbling himself.
Speak up.
Humbling it, like if it show
You're
that
gonna humble yourself, but what else he's trying to get you to do?
Come out the world.
purge out the world, like from these materialistic stuff, and rely on him.
Wait a minute, say that again.
Like
Say that again.
purge himself from this
Say
world.
that again.
Purge himself from the world.
Whoever just spoke.
Can you hear me? Purge yourself from the world.
Purge himself from the world. So he wanted. That's right. So we're gonna break the bonds of this world. Okay. Then some of y'all has said to make yourself humble basically to be the child of the light, for we made in his image. Okay. But here's the key word: to break the bonds or the strongholds of this world. And I know people are scratching their head. How by having material possessions, riches, even platforms, positions, titles, okay? How can that make someone imperfected with the Father?
Being prideful.
I'm gonna break it down. That's the key word. It's gonna lead, all of that's gonna lead to pride. And what happened when one is prideful?
They steer away from him.
Yeah.
They be thinking of doing their own will to the Father's will.
And pride is not of the Father anyway. Because it's not his characteristic.
They're gonna want to do their own will and not the Father's will. Okay. So spirit of pride will fall. Okay. Therefore, let's see, they are and not Yahweh. Okay. And what happened when one is like,
Say that one more time.
You can repeat the question.
what did the Bible classify you as well? Classify you as when you are about your own will and not your Father will.
You're in like darkness. You're being disobedient.
You're gonna be in darkness. But what happens is, if you're about doing your will and not the Father will, what do the Bible call you? Think about King Saul.
Wicked.
Rebellious.
That was one thing the Father couldn't stand, what King Saul did. Rebellious. And what happens when you become rebellious? What did the Bible say? In other words, it said that a rebellious one is abominable to him. Remember that saying, obedience is better than sacrifice?
Right.
Obedience is better than sacrifice because it burns the Father up when we don't listen to him. So rebellious, okay, rebellious. So it's becoming disobedient, such rebellious, making oneself abominable to Yah. Key word is obedience better than sacrifice. Because Israel already had a history of worshiping the and then turn around and worshiping another God. They always had that history. And that burned him up. That's why he removed everything from Israel. He stripped her to her nakedness and let her enemies have their way with her. Father don't play. Okay? Go back. So perfection will break the bonds or strongholds of this world. Because when the Father stripped you to your lowest estate, I remember about Job, that's when he has your full attention, your undivided attention. You have no distractions before you. And then you can hear him clearly and you can see the errors of your ways. So when he restore you back to a higher state, those things that we once cherished and love, whether it's your family or whether it's things or whether it's an office or position, etc., they would not come before him. You can drop it and say, okay, Father, what do you have me to do? See what I'm saying? So that's what he's doing. He's breaking you, resetting the bones so you can be what? Stronger against the powers of darkness. A lot of people will go to hell because of their material things or because of their families or because of their jobs or their careers. And when they look back, they're going to say, I sold out for breadcrumbs when I could have had more. So when we look at the definition of perfections, of what he means by that, he's going to break you. He may put you in a lower state, okay? But he got to do what he got to do. He got to put you through the trials and tribulation. He got to put you through that fire so you can be perfect in his eyes. Let's look at another verse right quick. Then we keep it moving. Go to the book of Romans 12, verse 2. It said, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good. Do y'all see that? So he's going to renew your mind, get you to think different now. Remember, he said what? His thoughts and his ways is not like our thoughts and ways. So when he bring you to that lowest state, then you're going to see what he see and hear what he hear. And then you're going to say, I get it now, Father, because I'm thinking like you now. I ain't thinking like my carnal fleshly self, but I'm thinking like the way you think now. All right. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good. See here, the Father determined unto us what is good. That ye may prove that ye may prove what is that's good and accept and perfect will of Yah. I'll go ahead and read 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 6. It said, howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are what? Perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. Again, the world, knowledge, wisdom, understanding is not the same as the Father. They're going to look at us and say, why are y'all doing that? That don't make common sense to us. That's crazy, foolish. For example, the world teaches us to what? To store up so you can have. But the Father said, no, I am your provider. This is why he gave us an example of the children of wilderness being in the desert, to prove unto the world that he is God and he is powerful. And even he can feed his children in the desert, where it's the most harsh place to ever be in, because it's hot by day and cold by night. And very little plants and animals live in that type of environment. All right. Let me see what else. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Finally, brethren, farewell. Be perfect. There we go, that word again. Be perfect. Be a good comfort. Be of one mind. One mind with whom? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Live in peace, and the God of love and peace shall be with you. People don't understand what that means. There is a spiritual walk with you. Those spirits are walking with you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And how they're walking with you? Because you're connected by the Spirit he planted in your bowels. That is refreshed, that is revised when you receive the renewed marriage, which is a new covenant. That is how that's possible. This is why you can have peace within you, even though you're in a world of chaos and darkness. All right. Galatians 3:3. Are ye so foolish, having begun in the spirit? Are ye now made perfect by the flesh? It's asking you a question. Are you made perfect by the flesh? That's a foolish thought, because when you receive the new covenant, you now begin to walk in spirit, no longer in the flesh. Ephesians 4:13-14. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Yahuwah, unto a perfect Adam, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Messiah. See? Measure to the stature of the fullness of the Messiah. We got to go back and look at the example. He gave us the example. He even showed what we're going to look like in the regeneration. We're going back to the Adamic status. This is why he's named the second Adam, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 14, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carry about with every wind of doctrine. See, we are sound in the Father doctrine now, because we went from that unleavened bread, that flat bread, to the Pentecost bread that's made with leaven, because we are filled with his spirit now. We are grounded, we are sound. We can't be shifted by the doctrines of this world, which come from Satan, by the sleight of men and cunningness and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in way to deceive. And we can see how greatly they have done that, mixing truth with lies. But speaking the truth in love, I'm on verse 15, may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even the Messiah. We'll stop there. Again, we get into understanding and the definition of perfection according to our Father in heaven. So I'll read this last one in the I want to make sure I pronounce him right. I believe this is Philemon. Make sure I pronounce it right, because I know me, y'all. I get words twisted. I sure will. Philippians. Okay, let me go back to that verse. Philippians chapter 3, verse 15. Make sure I got the right verse. Yep, that's what it is. I will have, where I'm at, is it reader 4 or reader 1?
Reader 4.
Okay, I can
Reader
go.
4. Reader 4. Read Philippians chapter 3, verse 15 for me.
Verse. Okay. It says, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and if anything ye be otherwise minded, Yah shall reveal even this unto you.
Okay. Again, here we see it. We are to be what? Perfect. Again, this don't come by your hand. It come by spirit. So we'll stop there. But like I said, just do a word search on the word perfect, and you begin to understand what is perfect unto Yah. And again, this don't come by your hand. You can't go to school for this. You can't go to no training session. Perfection don't come by your way. Perfection comes by the spirit, because the spirit come in you, dwell in your bowels, and it begin to work inside of you. And then when the inside is right, guess what? The outside going to manifest it. People are going to look at you talking about there's something different about you. You walk different. You talk different. You live a life of peace. You don't have to wear no badge or no medallion or put your name. No, they're going to see that, because they're going to see your spirit in you. That's how they're going to know who you are and who you belong to. Can't no piece of jewelry or whatever clothing that people wear tell the world who you are or who you belong to. That comes from the inside, which is spirit. Even the tails look like the wheat, deceiving many. So now we get to this attribute, the circle, which, when we look at the shape of the moon as well as the sun, and we learned that the circle represents completion. Out talked about this in the work of Josephus, how the first firmament, which is the first heaven, is a circle, and this firmament has to agree to the shape of the earth, and it's going to fit like a glove. So I will read this again, but I won't go into deep details like I did before. Okay. For Josephus write unto us, and I'm reading from Antiquities, Book 1, Chapter 1, Section 1. And it says that after this, on the second day, which is the second day of creation, y'all, he placed the heaven over the whole earth. Now remember, there's many levels of heavens, but the heavens go around the whole earth. Okay, and we know 10 represent completion. I need to put that in here. Maybe I need to put it down below. It's down below. But for y'all reference, know that completion is represented by number 10. Okay, because number 10 is where our Father resides. It ends there with him. Okay, because remember, the circle has a beginning point and it has an ending point. So he placed the heaven over the whole world and separated it from the other parts. And he determined it should stand by itself. Okay, so the earth is going to stand by itself. Okay. He also placed a crystalline firmament around it. That's the first heaven, y'all. Precepted with Genesis chapter 1. And put it together in a manner agreeable to the earth. So this shape of the first firmament is going to mimic the shape of the earth. Okay, do y'all see that? And fitted it for giving moisture and rain and for affording the advantage of dew. And we can see evidence of that because in the morning, you can wake up in the morning, you will see sometimes the dew that's upon the grass. You can also see frost. Then throughout the year, according to the season, you will see rains or snow. So we know there's water above us. Again, when you study Genesis, which is creation, you understand how the water is above you and also in the earth. All right, let us keep going. So what I did for y'all, I gave y'all a picture. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a round piece of candy that has many layers in it. But when we look at the shape of the earth and the shape of the heavens, you know, how these things are fitted together, we got to look from a 3D point of view to really understand what the word is saying, that how he pulled the heavens like a curtain around the earth and what that means. And what that basically means that the earth is in the center. You know, you eat a piece of candy, you got a chewy middle. Well, that's the earth. It's in the center. And then you have this chocolate or other layers of the candy going around the chewy middle. And that's how the heavens is surrounding the earth. Even the sun and moon move in a circular pattern. And when you begin to understand Enoch's first, second, third writings, there is a part of these lights that you don't see their movements because they go in and out through the left, which is the doors, returning back to their circuit and picking up where they started off from. Okay, in other words, not picking up where they started from, continue where they started from the first firmament. So they're still moving. It's just that part we cannot see because they exit out through the doors. That's the mystery on that too. Because the same would be for you, or bride in 144. You won't have access to these doors. You better move in and out. You better go from one ram to another ram instantly. Again, there's mysteries dealing with the Hebrew letters, and even the Messiah was talk about the movement of being going from one pastor to another pastor. That's in the book of John, mysteries. But anyway, to understand what this looked like, the earth is going to be in the center and the heavens going to be surrounding it from one level to another level. So take this time now to pause the screen to get what that may look like in a 3D version, but keep in mind, it will be many layers till you get to 10. So when we take that 3D image and we cut it in half and we more look at on a flatter way to actually see this, what it's going to look like. Your earth is going to be in the center. And that first purple ring that you see is the first firmament or the first heaven. Okay. And then beyond that point, what man called is space. Let me tell you, the Father is always one step ahead of man, because when man was studying about the black matter, what they don't know is that the Father know that you were trying to get to where he was at. But with the black matter, it can be continuously expanded, making their journeys forever. They'll never get to them. I've said Father always ahead of his enemies. But with this diagram, as you can see, as we go from layer to layer to layer, we get to the 10th level of heaven. Okay, and you see right here how it's going around the earth. And then we begin to see what the prophet Isaiah was saying to us, how the Father can look down from where he at, and the earth is like his footstool. Okay. So in this 10th level, according to his prophets, you will learn this is where our Father is. This is where the Holy of Holy is, because this is where his throne room is. And then the Messiah throne room is in the 7th level. Again, he talks in numbers, and paradise is in the 3rd level. Okay. Like I said, it's a lot of things we can learn from his prophets. And these lights, again, they come into our firmament, or to our first heaven, or what we can see, because remember, we have carnal eyes now, we have fleshly eyes, but when you learn about our foreparents, they could see into these levels when they was clothed in his spirit. But when they fell, they could no longer see. And that's when Adam experienced what darkness was. See, he didn't know what darkness was. He was covered in light. But it's some other sacred things, but I don't want to keep this video long. Read First Adam and Eve, and you will see. Even we have some of these same fears that they have. Some of us don't like to be in darkness. We gotta have a little night light. See what the Father gave unto Adam to help him get through the night. Beautiful thing. Okay, well, this is a diagram here. Now today, the Gentile would call this a concentric circle. You know, when they get people to concentrate on certain things. But this was the best diagram that I could find to give you an idea how the earth and the heavens look, if you could see from the Father's point of view. Okay. And also, y'all know about the stars. There's many stars. All right, and the last attribute, and this was conclude today's lesson, because we got to get to verse 3 so we can get to verse 4. You know, when the Father made everything, he said what? It is good. And why it's good? Because it came from him. Okay, so before I click on that link, most of us are familiar what's written in the book of Genesis, but to my reader one, I tell you what you see on the screen here. Let me see if I need to click on the link. What you see on the screen here, I want you to read Genesis chapter 5, verse 1, and then verse 2.
Okay, this is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day that God created man in the likeness of Yahuwah, made he him. Let's see, male and female created he them.
Okay.
Them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created.
Do y'all see that? He called the male and the female Adam. So we have a saying in my nation, what goes for the goose, which is the male bird, is the same for the gander, which is the female bird. Okay, so we bear the same name. Okay, therefore we will bear the same image, for we was made in their image. So we're going to look like them, and we too will bear that light that they bear. I'm telling y'all, it's just so beautiful to see this. I mean, I'm actually seeing this, just like how the moon bears the sun's light, for she takes a part of his light. Okay, and the reason why we bear the same light they bear, because of the spirit that is implanted in our bowels. Beautiful. So when you precept this in the 1611 Bible, you will learn in the Apocrypha from the Book of Wisdom that's written by King Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. For it says that Yahuwah created Adam to be immortal. So because we were made in their image, we was to be eternal beings. Death was not supposed to be upon us. Very important to know. So Yahuwah created man to be immortal and made him to be the image of his own eternity. So what's done in heaven is done in earth, y'all. Whatever the Godhead do, we do. Male and female, for he named them what? Adam. All right. Verse 24, nevertheless, through envy of the devil. Now we know who this enemy we talking about. Satan himself. Okay. Got confirmation. His another name is Lucifer. Remember, these angels can bear the male and female aspect. They can choose what they want to be. Nevertheless, through the envy of the devil came death into the world. How did that take place? He convinced our mother, Eve, to eat the fruit. And then she convinced her husband to partake. That's how he did it. And they that do hold of his side do find it. Okay, so when you do a little more digging about the history of this, you will learn that Satan hated us. He don't like us. And he felt like he was above us because, see, they are made of fire and we are made of clay. So he couldn't get why the Father would put this being in comparison to his level, because we was made in their image. The angels made it a little different, y'all. However, the angels are his children, just like we are our Father's children. So we got a big family war going on right now. But this is to give you the history on why Satan did what he did unto us. Envy, jealousy, which I found strange because Adam don't know who he is, and that's because he lost the spirit. Satan deceiving so many people. They're selling out for breadcrumbs. And when they get to that place of Sheol, they're going to see that these angels care nothing for them. They hate their guts. That's why it amazes me that they sell out to them. But I know why. Because of ignorance. They don't know their history. They reject the Bible. And because they reject the Bible, this is their faith. And to end this lesson for today, I'm going to have my next reader, I think it's reader 2, to read verse 4. And this is the verse we're going to come and expound on when we meet together again. So reader
And thus she rises.
reader
Oh.
2.
And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes out on the 30th morning, and on the day she becomes visible, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the door where the sun rises.
All right, y'all. So as you see now we get into the juicy part. We're going to look at the phases of the moon, because this is very important to know, because it goes with knowing which day would be your new moon day. Okay, especially when she showed herself on different days. Okay, because I have the proof and evidence, not only this year, but it was in, I think it was either 2014 or 2015. I noticed my brother was seeing the new moon in California before we were seeing it. We were seeing it the next day. So when I went to King Bayam, he is the king of, I think it's Beta Israel, but don't take my word at it, but I know it's King Bayam. But I was talking to him, and he verified his own witness. They saw it on that day that they reported. They didn't get the day that my brother reported. However, my brother had pictures. So because we in the world of technology, we can compare pictures and notes. That what led me to realize that this moon can show herself at whatever time she wants to show herself, because of the prophecy that pertains to her. And that prophecy is that because we're in the days of sinners, she would not show herself at the appointed time. However, through the same prophets, and by knowing the phases of her, by knowing her phases, you can determine what should be the correct new moon day. And if not, again, Oh yeah, I do go to the Father Spirit, and He will show you all things. So we hope that you enjoyed this lesson. This was a very good lesson. I didn't get a chance to elaborate on the definition already, but you got it already, through what we talked about earlier by looking at the Wikipedia. But when you look at a person hue or a person complexion, you will see a redness in their skin tone. Okay. And when you look at the word Adamic or the definition of Adamic, I don't know if it's on the show, it would say of or pertaining to Adam or resembling him, and Adamic earth, a name given to common red clay from a notion that Adam means red clay. And this comes. So again, Josephus already confirmed that unto us. The 1611 Bible had already confirmed this unto us, y'all. The evidence is there. So all this foolish doctrine that the heathens give us talking about, we don't know what color they are, that's a lie from the gates of hell. Just like the hair color of the Israelites. It's only black or white or black or gray. Of Edom, they have red hair. Now I am aware because of the mixing, you may see one that bear these traits, but they don't mean that's from that tribe of Edom, nor from the tribe of Israel. Okay. But as a nation of people, these traits not going to be whitewashed away or washed out away. The majority of the nation is still going to bear these traits. I hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. We meet on the Heathens Day, they call Saturnine Day, okay, for those who want to join us, okay. And the contact information is listed in the video description box. So just reach out to me, and I'll make sure you get the information you need to join us in the lessons. However, for those who cannot join us, these sessions will be recorded. All right. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach. If you have no one to baptize you, remember you can exercise your faith with works yourself. You can do it yourself. For the water is the second witness in the earth, the heavens is a witness, and the earth is a witness. And the Messiah and the disciples gave us the example to follow. Far as the Holy Spirit baptism, all you have to do is ask in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach unto our Father in heaven, and He shall give it unto you according to your faith and your words. We bid you all the shalom, and we love you all.